Hello students and welcome to the lecture of polysaccharides. I am Harshita and in today's lecture we are going to learn in detail about what polysaccharides are. So let's move on with that. The objectives of this lecture are to get familiar with various polysaccharides, how can they be classified and subclassified, what are their structures and what and all functions do they have. So in today's lecture, we are going to talk about introduction to polysaccharides, how can we classify and subclassify them, and in detail we are going to learn about their examples such as starch and glycogen. So before moving on with polysaccharides, we should revise the classifications of carbohydrates. So as we have learned in previous lectures also that carbohydrates on the basis of number of monomeric units present in them can be subdivided broadly into 4 types. These are monosaccharides, disaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. So what were monosaccharides? So carbohydrates having one single sugar unit were known as monosaccharides. Important examples include glucose, fructose and galactose. After that, the second classification was disaccharides, which was made up of two sugar units linked together with the help of a glycosidic linkage. And its important examples were sucrose, lactose and maltose. After that, oligosaccharides. So, if 2 to 10 sugar molecules come together with the help of a glycosidic bond, these are known as oligosaccharides. And we must keep in mind that disaccharides can also be classified under oligosaccharides because they are made up of two sugar units. But due to their importance, we can classify them separately also. Examples of oligosaccharides are raffinose and stachyose. Now moving on to the last classification of carbohydrates, which we are going to read today in detail. These are polysaccharides. So when 10 or more sugar molecules condense to form a long chain of carbohydrates, these are known as polysaccharides with the help of a glycosidic linkage. And examples are starch, glycogen and cellulose that we are going to read in detail in this lecture. So let's move forward with that now. So with the help of this video, let's take an idea about what polysaccharides are. So let's see what are polysaccharides and its types. So a polysaccharide is formed when monosaccharides molecules join together. So many monosaccharide join together. The process of condensing many monomers to form a large polymer is known as polymerization. And condensation is the reaction in which water molecule is released. Now starch, glucose and glycogen are common types of polysaccharides from the condensation of glucose molecules. And starch is the most important source of carbohydrate from our diet. It occurs commonly in vegetables, cereals, fruits, etc. And potatoes are a rich source of it. However, starch is not formed or stored by animals. It is made up of very large number of glucose molecules condensed together to form chains of glucose units. And these are the composition of straight or branch chain. The glucose units are linked by bridges or bonds which may contain as many as 200 glucose units. Cellulose is a type of carbohydrate which makes cell walls of the plants. It is similar to starch as it consists of glucose units linked together to form chains. Humans cannot digest cellulose, but they form a bulk undigested matter usually consisting of fibers, which is responsible for proper functioning of large intestine. Now let's talk about glycogen. So glycogen is sometimes referred to as animal starch because it is stored form of carbohydrates in animals and fungi. In mammals, it is mainly stored in liver and muscles, and it is formed when many glucose molecules condense to form highly branched chains of glucose units. Glycogen and starch are suitable for storage purpose due to many reasons. They are large and partially insoluble in water, so they do not change osmotic pressure in the cell. Also, when the energy levels are low, they can easily be hydrolyzed when they are needed and broken down into glucose, and energy is given to the body. Now, let's move further with this lecture and see other polysaccharides in detail. Now, what do you understand by the term polysaccharides? For that, let's first break it. So when we break the term, it is broken down into poly and saccharide, out of which poly means many and saccharides means sugar. So when many sugar molecules come together to form a component, it is known as polysaccharides. Okay. So polysaccharides are the most abundant carbohydrates found in food. They are long chain polymeric carbohydrates, as we discussed in the previous video also, which are composed of monosaccharide unit, and these are bound together by glycosidic linkages. What are the characteristics? Let's have a look. So these are polymers because they are made up of polymerization, and they are very large and they have a very high molecular weight range starting from 2 lakhs daltons. They are usually white and amorphous. They look glassy on appearance. And unlike monosaccharides and disaccharides, these are not sweet and these are non-reducing also. And when we form solutions, they form colloidal solutions. When we dissolve them in water, they form colloidal solutions or suspensions because they are not fully dissolvable in water. Now let's see what are the classifications of polysaccharides. So when you classify polysaccharides, you classify them on the basis of the type of monomer present in them. So if only one type of monomer is present throughout the whole structure, this is known as homopolysaccharides. And when more than one type of monomers are present, it is known as heteropolysaccharides. So as the name suggests, homo means one and polysaccharides are polysaccharides. So only one type of monomer is present in the whole polysaccharide. It is homopolysaccharide. And hetero, the term, it means many, means different. So different monomers are present in the whole structure. It is known as heteropolysaccharide. Now let's see what are homopolysaccharides. So these contain only one type of monomer. For example, if glucose is present, so every single monomer unit is going to be glucose, all branch linked together with the help of glycosidic linkage. When we break them, we hydrolyze them by adding a water molecule. They yield only one type of monosaccharide. Okay, its examples are starch, glycogen, cellulose, dextrins, etc. And here you can see they can be branched as well as unbranched. This is unbranched, no branching is there, only straight chain structure is present. And in this structure you can see there is branching at this molecule. Okay. Now let's see what heteropolysaccharides are. So heteropolysaccharides contain two or more type of monomers, and when we break them, they yield mixture of monosaccharide. As you can see here, two types of monomers are attached together, and this is unbranched type of heteropolysaccharide. While in this one, you can see more than 2-3 type of monomers are present, and there is branching. It is branched also. So its examples are mucopolysaccharides, chitin, etc. are other examples. Now we'll talk about glycogen in detail. So glycogen is very important to us because humans, we also store our carbohydrates, our glucose in the form of glycogen, and whenever we need energy, like at the time of fasting, the energy is given by glycogen. Glycogen is broken down to glucose again, and then we get the energy. And otherwise, we directly take it from our diet. So glycogen is also known as animal starch or storage polysaccharide because it is used for storage purpose, storage of glucose in animals. So where it is stored? It is mainly stored in muscles and liver, and it is present in cells as granules of high molecular weight. So it contains both alpha 1 to 4 links and alpha 1 to 6 branches at every 8 to 12 glucose unit. What does this mean? One molecule of glucose is connected to other glucose molecules with the help of a alpha 1 to 4 glycosidic linkage, and at branching, it's alpha 1 to 6 glycosidic linkage, as you can see here. And branching is there at every 8 to 6 carbon or 6 glucose unit. So when we completely break down this glycogen, what do we get? We get glucose. So here it is written, complete hydrolysis yields glucose because it is completely made up of glucose. And when we react this glycogen with iodine, it gives a red-violet color. It is very important test. We are going to read about this in further lectures also, in tests of carbohydrates. Now, it can be hydrolyzed, means broken by these enzymes. The name of the enzymes are alpha and beta amylases, and by glycogen phosphorylase. So, in liver, glycogen synthesis and degradation are regulated to maintain blood glucose levels as required to meet the needs of the organism as a whole. What does this mean? So this means whenever we require energy and we are fasting, then glycogen, which is already stored, is broken down into glucose to require the needs of organism energy needs. And when a lot of glucose is already there in the body, then it is converted into glycogen to maintain the blood glucose level. So we can also say that glycogen serves as a buffer to maintain blood glucose level. Now, in contrast, in muscles, these processes are regulated to meet energy needs of the muscle itself. The concentration of glycogen is higher in the liver than in muscle. That is, 10% of glycogen is stored in the liver and 2% by weight is stored in muscles. But as we all know that skeletal muscle overall mass is more than the liver. So in general, more glycogen is stored by the muscles. Let's now move to the next very important polysaccharide, which is starch. So here you can see it is the structure, a part of complete chain of starch is given here. These are also glucose molecules joined together with the help of this alpha 1,2,4 glycosidic linkage. So it is the most common storage polysaccharide in plants. Okay, humans don't produce or store starch. It is composed of 10% to 30% amylose and 70 to 90% amylopectin, depending on the source. So these are the two constituents of starch. Starch has two components. One is amylose and amylopectin, which we are going to learn in detail. So let's move on with that. Here we go. So amylose is a linear polymer of alpha D glucose, which is linked together by alpha 1,2,4 glycosidic linkages. It is soluble in water. It reacts with iodine to give a blue color, and the molecular weight of amylose ranges between 50,000 to 2 lakhs. And when we see amylopectin, it is highly branched polymer. So you see the difference. It is a linear polymer while it is a highly branched polymer. It is insoluble in water while amylose was soluble in water. It reacts with iodine to give a reddish violet color, while amylose was giving a blue color. Now, the molecular weight ranges between 70,000 to 10 lakhs, means it has more molecular weight, and its branches are composed of 25 to 30 glucose units linked together by alpha 1,2,4 glycosidic linkages in the chain and by alpha 1,2,6 glycosidic linkage at the branch point. So these are the structures of components of starch. This is amylopectin. As you can see, it's highly branched. There's one branch here, one branch is here, another branch and sub branches, test branching, while it does not have branches. And this is the structure. Here it's a straight linear polymer while it has bonding with alpha 1,2,4 glycosidic linkages here at every carbon in the chain and alpha 1 to 6 glycosidic linkage at branching. Now, when we form a suspension of amylose in water, it means it is not soluble. Starch, amylose is not completely soluble. It forms a suspension. Water, it adopts a helical configuration. It forms a helix. Here you can see. It is forming in helix. Okay. So what happens is that iodine can get inside this helical structure, and that is why it gives the blue color, which is characteristic of diagnostic for starch. And you might have done some experimentation in school levels also, when we take a potato, we cut it and we react it with iodine, and the potato turns blue. That means it is very high in iodine. So what did we learn in today's lecture? We learned that saccharides are the polymers of monosaccharides or their derivatives, which are held together with the help of glycosidic linkages. Homopolysaccharides are composed of single monosaccharides, that are starch, glycogen and cellulose, which we read in detail. Heteropolysaccharides contain a mixture of few monosaccharides or their derivatives. Examples are mucopolysaccharides. And starch and glycogens are the carbohydrates reserves of plants and animals respectively. So this was all for today's lecture. Now further readings. You can refer to these textbooks for further reading. Thank you.